Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the November 12th meeting of the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority Board of Trustees. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind everyone that the microphones around the board table are sensitive, and this meeting is being recorded. So don't tell any secrets to anybody. And now, before we get started, I'd ask Denise to read the Open Public Meetings Act. Denise?
Good morning, everyone. This is to advise that, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been forwarded to the Newark Star Ledger, the Asbury Park Press, the Courier News, the Daily Record, the Home News Tribune, the Jersey Journal, the New Jersey Herald, and posted in the Essex County Hall of Records in Newark.
Thank you, Denise. Will everyone please stand and join me in honoring our flag? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Denise, would you please call the roll?
Bergen County,
Present.
Essex County,
Here.
Hudson County,
Present.
Hunterdon County,
Here.
Jersey City,
Present.
Middlesex County,
Here.
Monmouth County,
Present.
Morris County,
Here.
Newark,
Present.
Ocean County,
Here.
Passaic County,
Here.
Somerset County, Sussex County,
Here.
Union County,
Here.
Warren County,
Here.
Governor's Authorities Unit,
Here.
New Jersey Department of Transportation,
Here.
New Jersey Transit,
Here.
Port Authority, New York, New Jersey,
Here.
Citizens Representative. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes of the September 9th board meeting? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes, Middlesex. Second, Warren.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Move on to the chair's remarks. I wanted to start by thanking everyone who participated in the board visioning workshop last month for Connecting Communities, our next long-range transportation plan. It was great to see so many board members and sub-regional staff in attendance and to hear their ideas for the future of our region. One of the key topics we discussed was how to make travel safer. And one suggestion was to increase collaboration between the counties and municipalities. While we can always do more, one way we're already working to improve collaboration is through the creation of local safety action plans. Ocean County is one of 8 counties working with NJTPA to create these plans, which will identify and prioritize strategies for improving safety. Each county has created a local implementation committee, which includes municipal representatives to help take the plans we're creating and put them into action. I want to thank Commissioners Sarnowski, Shaw, and Suey for participating in recent local implementation committee meetings in their home counties. Once adopted, the counties and municipalities can use these plans to seek federal safe streets and roads for all grants to implement recommended improvements. While we're on the topic of safety, I want to congratulate the subregions, the NJTPA, and the New Jersey Department of Transportation for their work to get a record amount of local safety and high-risk rural roads funding authorized in the last federal fiscal year, which ended September 30th. More than $45 million in highway safety improvement funds were authorized to advance projects through preliminary engineering, final design, and construction. This is great news. The local safety and high-risk rural road program provides the subregions with the opportunity to address some of the highest safety priorities. That's why the NJTPA board has allocated more than $400 million to 145 local safety projects since that program's inception in 2004, and another $73 million for 26 high-risk rural roads projects since that program was created in 2009. And more will be coming. The solicitation for the next round of funding closed on October 31st. NJTPA is reviewing applications and will be recommending a new slate of projects to this board in the coming months. I have one more note on safety before I wrap up. Last month, our Street Smart New Jersey Pedestrian Safety Initiative surpassed 265 partners statewide. Municipalities, public and private schools, colleges, and businesses have hosted safety campaigns since the program's inception in 2013. Just last month, the Borough of Lauderdale in Bergen County partnered with Easy Ride Transportation Management Association to kick off a campaign that will focus on improving safety at a busy intersection. Public education campaigns complement the infrastructure improvements, and we're making through the local safety program and the work we're planning in our local safety action. The more communities that participate in Street Smart, the more we can help change the behaviors that contribute to fatal and serious injury crashes as we all work together toward the goal of zero deaths. If you know of anyone who might be interested in getting involved, encourage them to visit bestreetsmartnj.org to learn more. And finally, as we all know, there will be a new administration in Washington, D.C. next year. As always, we will work with the federal government to advance critical transportation projects in our region. I have directed central staff to keep the board apprised of any developments related to changes in federal transportation policy or reauthorization of federal funding. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act provides funding until November 2026. But as Dave has mentioned at previous meetings, discussions are already underway about how to fund much needed infrastructure improvements after IIJA expires. I'm sure we'll continue to hear more in the coming months. Thank you, and that concludes my report. We'll move on to remarks. Do we have any remarks from NJDOT this morning? Okay. Any remarks from New Jersey Transit? Any remarks from the Port Authority?
Yes, I have 3 items actually. Good. And I'll start with the bad news first. It's part of our 2-year, $430 million Path Forward program to restore and modernize the 116-year-old path system. We're going to need to do a full closure of the Hoboken Path Terminal for 25 days in February. That's for some vital track and switch upgrades, and we're going to do some station rehabilitation at the same time while we have it closed. We're working with our regional partners to offer travel alternatives with bus, ferry, and light rail, but customers should allow for some additional travel time during that 25-day period. There will be a couple of information sessions about that. There's one this evening at Hoboken Terminal at 5:30 p.m. and another tomorrow at Exchange Place at 5:30. Moving on, the Port Authority's announced its Newark Airport Vision Plan, which calls for a new Terminal B that will complement the award-winning Terminal A, overhauling outdated roadway networks, and redesigning the delay-prone aircraft taxiway network. We have an overall vision for redeveloping the airport. And finally, the Port Authority's been selected for a pair of EPA Clean Port grants. One of those is an implementation grant that will jumpstart more sustainable trucks, ships, and cargo handling equipment. And the other is a planning grant that'll provide resources to establish a Port Community Advisory Council and do some other work with the community. Those total about $347 million. Thank you.
Thanks for your report. Any questions for the Port Authority or any comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Executive Director's report. Dave, would you present your report to the board?
Great. Thank you very much. Good morning. First of all, I'd also like to thank everyone who attended our visioning session for connecting communities. We had a wide-ranging and thoughtful discussion about a lot of topics, and those discussions are certainly going to play a very large role in shaping our plan's priorities. In addition to the emphasis on safety, which the chair highlighted, we also heard about the need to improve the transit network, to address road congestion and unreliable travel times, and to upgrade aging or outmoded facilities. Other suggestions we heard included supplementing traditional fixed route transit with on-demand services and micro-mobility, increasing housing near transit, bolstering local planning capacity and resources, applying more data-driven approaches to target investments for safety and other needs, and better engaging the private sector and developers. Participants also discussed how the NJTPA can better address regional equity, which will be the subject of a new plan goal. The input we heard also will guide our public engagement activities, which are getting underway. And I hope that all of you can join us in this outreach, serving as our ambassadors and helping to promote our online survey, forums, and other events. Speaking of our survey, we'll be testing that out next week at the League of Municipalities Conference. You will be there. Please stop by our booth, number 2530, near the restaurant and lounge area, and help us spread the word about the long-range plan and our various programs for municipalities. Those programs include Complete Streets Technical Assistance, Planning for Emerging Centers, and the Vibrant Places program. Through these efforts, we offer planning assistance to municipalities who are looking to help us implement our regional vision at the local level. And speaking of Vibrant Places, I'm happy to inform you that our recent work with Asbury Park through that program just received the 2024 Outstanding Community Engagement Award from the New Jersey chapter of the American Planning Association. Through the program, the community developed the Springwood Avenue Heritage Walk, celebrating the neighborhood's rich heritage of jazz and Black culture. Thanks very much to all the NJTPA staff involved, as well as our great partners at Rutgers VTC and in the community. And you can visit njtpa.org/vibrant for a link to much more information about the project. And even as we work with our region's municipalities, our strong and long-standing partnerships with our subregions around this table remain really at the core of our work. For example, public outreach and other activities are underway for 3 subregional studies: Hudson County's West Hudson Circulation and Connectivity Study, Middlesex County's road safety audits, and Warren County's Comprehensive Complete Streets Policy Development. You can find more information about these and many other activities in the central staff highlights that were distributed to the board on Friday. In particular, I'd like to note that the NJTPA coordinated Morris Canal Greenway Working Group will meet on Monday, December 2nd, and the group continues to make progress in building out the Greenway. An example of this is on today's agenda, an action item which will provide $1.5 million for Warren County to design and construct a segment of the Greenway. And I should note that another very regionally significant Greenway project is progressing as well. Tomorrow, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and New Jersey Transit will hold a public meeting to present updates on the Newark segment of the Essex-Hudson Greenway. That will eventually span 8 municipalities in 2 counties. Looking beyond the borders of our region, we're also working with New York City and state agencies to create a bi-state comprehensive climate action plan funded by the Environmental Protection Agency. It includes analysis of how and where greenhouse gases are generated and identifies appropriate climate-related measures. The public survey, which is linked on our homepage, closes this week, so we encourage you to fill out that survey and to share it widely. Also on the topic of cross-state collaboration, the Metropolitan Area Planning, or MAP Forum, will hold its virtual annual meeting on Friday, December 6th. As you may recall, the NJTPA and 9 other metropolitan planning organizations make up this forum. That meeting agenda is being finalized and will be posted to our website shortly. As I noted at the recent joint committee meeting, and as the chair mentioned, The IIJA legislation expires in less than 2 years, and even at this early stage, we should all work to support a reauthorization that continues strong federal infrastructure investment. I also want to note that we're preparing the Unified Planning Work Program for next fiscal year. As you know, that program that will begin next July 1st. And that program details all federally funded work of NJTPA central staff, the subregions, and the transportation management associations. An overview of the program, which is still under development, was distributed at last month's joint committee meeting. The draft will be distributed to, the final draft will be distributed to the board and our TAC members for review in December. And we certainly welcome your feedback now or when you see the final draft. That will go before the Planning and Economic Development Committee in February in preparation for March board approval. And quickly before closing, I want to share that we recently launched a monthly LinkedIn newsletter as part of our ongoing efforts to find new ways to reach more people and to share information. I encourage you to check it out, to subscribe so you don't miss an issue. Again, it's monthly. In addition to that, we also post, as you know, regularly to Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And of course, we have our e-list and the website. Finally, we're also frequently updating our website for our In Transition magazine. I encourage you to subscribe to that email list for updates on new content. We did just post an article on the City of Newark's plans for development around the airport, the sort of potential aerotropolis, as it's called, for the region. And with that, I will conclude my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Next, we're going to turn to our featured presentation by Stephanie Hoops, National Director at United for ALICE, which stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. Ms. Hoops has overseen the expansion of ALICE from a pilot study of the low-income community in Morris County to a national effort with ALICE data for all 3,000 counties in the United States. Today, she's going to share how we can use this data in our transportation planning, most especially our long-range plan update. Before joining the United Way of Northern New Jersey, she taught at Rutgers University here in Newark and Columbia University, as well as teaching in the United Kingdom. Ms. Hoops has a doctoral degree from the London School of Economics, a master's degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and a bachelor's degree from Wellesley College. Stephanie?
Thank you very much. And I think we got the technology working. I am delighted to be here, and it's very funny that being from this area, that I got here via Salt Lake City when I met Dave at a AMPO conference out there, and that's what it took to connect us, and glad it worked out, and delighted to be back here in Newark. I really enjoyed my time teaching here, and it's great to see the good work that's happening. Y'all are super busy. I'm like, how long are these notes? So you have quite a package every month. So thanks for fitting me in, and I'm here to introduce somebody that you probably already know, but maybe not by name, and that's ALICE. So it's an acronym that stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. And we all know ALICE. Many of us have been ALICE, but ALICE it works in jobs that we need to keep our economy running smoothly, and yet struggles to afford household basics and support their family. So you probably ran into several ALICE workers on your way here today, maybe getting your coffee, dropping a child off at childcare, security guard in the parking lot, the bank teller, just all kinds of jobs that we really need in our economy. And yet the wages don't cover those basic costs in the place where they live. So think about the ALICE you know, think about maybe your own ALICE experience, because there are a lot of numbers that come along behind this, but just it's important to remember we're talking about real people and real families. So this work comes from United for ALICE. We are founded and powered by United Way of Northern New Jersey. And these measures have been developed to better understand what's actually happening in our communities. It started as a small pilot in Morris County and now has spread across the entire country. And we provide data for all 3,000 counties. And we work with partners across the state here in New Jersey, but across the country as well. So it's really nice to be here in my home state and working with you to make a difference here. So let's dig into the numbers behind the idea. And basically, the current official measure of financial hardship is the federal poverty level. And according to that, 10% of households in New Jersey are struggling. But when you look at what it actually costs to live and work here, and New Jersey is expensive, I don't need to tell you all that, but another 26% of households are struggling. So in total, more than a third, 36% of households in New Jersey are struggling paycheck to paycheck, just trying to cover those basic costs. And we create a what we call the ALICE Household Survival Budget for every county in the country. And it's just the basics of housing, childcare, food, transportation, healthcare, a small technology line, and ALICE pays taxes. And I was just did a radio interview with the London Times on Saturday, and I had to explain, yes, Americans pay for their healthcare. So they got a chuckle out of that. But it's here in the budget. And that's the blue column in the graph that you see. The yellow is the wage for a full-time personal care aide, common job. And you can see that that doesn't cover those basic expenses. The gray column is the federal poverty level. And you can see how low that is compared to those actual costs. So that's what we're trying to address is we have this outdated measure that was developed when Lyndon Johnson needed a measure for his war on poverty, and it hasn't been updated to reflect the current economy, the current way expenses are allocated, and the federal poverty level is also the same number across the country. So the federal poverty level is the same here in New Jersey as it is in Mississippi, as it is in Manhattan, as it is in San Francisco. And so it doesn't take into that huge difference in the cost of living. So we then check how many households are earning below that survival budget. And we see ALICE in every county in New Jersey. And yet the rates do vary across the state. The lowest rate is 25% of households are below that ALICE threshold in Hunterdon County, and it's as high as 56% in Cumberland County. Here in Essex County, it's 43%. And the data go below the county level as well. And so doing a deeper dive here in Essex County, we see big variation within counties. And Essex County may be one of the biggest. It ranges from 8% below the threshold in North Caldwell and Glenridge to 63% here in Newark. So a few miles apart, you have a very different level of financial hardship, and something important to recognize when you're doing your planning. And how can you help folks who are living in these different areas connect to all the basics in that budget? You know, how do they connect to childcare, healthcare, education, shopping, and of course, work. So these mapping can be very helpful in that. Another thing that we do with the data is break it down by different demographics. One of the biggest is race and ethnicity. We also do age, household composition, urban, rural, a lot of different categories. But I do want to point out some really big differences here in New Jersey by race and ethnicity. And among the three largest groups, Black, Hispanic, and white, we see significant differences in both the poverty level, but even more so in the ALICE numbers. And we all know the reasons for that, a lot of historic and systemic barriers, and yet they are still having a huge impact today. And I always like to emphasize, you know, ALICE is in a lot of the key jobs that we need. On the website is a detailed table of occupations, but here are some of the most common in the US: retail sales, home health aides, cashiers, fast food, customer service reps, laborers, drivers, you know, all jobs that we are very familiar with, and a significant percent are below that ALICE threshold, even after getting significant wage increases in the last couple of years. And that's something that we've been tracking, not only the increase in wages, of course, but the increase in inflation. And so just when ALICE thinks that maybe they're starting to catch up, they are seeing increases in those wages. Inflation is increasing that bit much more. So it's like running and you're going up that sand hill, you get up a couple steps and then you slide back down a little bit. And as a result, we're hearing a lot of frustration in our communities, across our voters, and I think some of that came across in the election outcome. So ALICE is important in a lot of different dimensions in our communities. So I wanted to just tie this in a little bit more into your planning and transportation. And so just some ideas to help you incorporate ALICE and ALICE's perspective. But you have a huge opportunity to make a difference for ALICE. And that's why I am so appreciative of the chance to come talk to you, that you have the ability to make investments that can really change the outcome for a lot of families. So some questions that you might ask as you're digging into these projects is, will this project make transportation or any aspect of ALICE's budget more affordable? Will it make transportation or any aspect more accessible? Will it, make transportation closer? Will it help ALICE connect to that child care center? And then will it improve quality? So those are really three dimensions where you all have the ability to make a big impact. We've been working with the New Jersey Department of Transportation, and they are fantastic ALICE advocates. We really appreciate that. And I've had a chance to do a couple of presentations with them, so I'm borrowing one of your slides, and really appreciate the way that they're thinking about it and considering ALICE factors at the very beginning when the concept is being developed, not something that's tacked on later, but embedded from the beginning. And taking some time to either walk in ALICE's shoes or perhaps ride along with ALICE. So thinking about ALICE when you're doing your traveling and literally talking to ALICE riders, ALICE constituents, and hearing what their challenges are. Another thing the Department of Transportation is working on is developing an ALICE checklist for evaluation. So if you kind of have a standard set of questions or criteria that you can just make sure are being included, makes it a little bit easier. And then the last thing I want to point out is ALICE is probably working on your team. ALICE works in all kinds of organizations, including government. And so as you're talking about these challenges and thinking about these problems, to be always respectful and appreciative of these different dimensions. So just some high level thinking, but what is all this planning going for? What is the ultimate goal? And one way that we like to look at it is, the American dream of, if you're working hard, you should be able to support your family. And so what are the levers that you all have access to help make that happen? So anything that in the planning that can help increase income for ALICE. So building better in infrastructure that's an inclusive economy and businesses that pay above survival wages. And so, asking some hard questions, bringing any new job may not be the best answer, but a job that actually can support a family needs to be considered as part of the criteria. And then there's a lot that can be done to decrease costs. Connecting low-cost housing to jobs, as well as the basics of childcare, schools, grocery stores, healthcare. Another place that ALICE is often really impacted is in disasters. So when we think about Superstorm Sandy, with electricity out and businesses closed for days, even weeks in places, that meant ALICE didn't go to work. And a lot of ALICE workers are paid by the hour, and if they don't go to work, they don't get paid. So they didn't have the luxury of a salary job and working from home during Superstorm Sandy or a lot of times during the pandemic. And so we're foregoing those wages. Bills were continuing. And it even happens in a snowstorm. So when you think about clearing those roads so folks can get to work, that means somebody can get to their job and get paid. And without that, it puts a family behind without even, anything major happening. So I just wanted to highlight that dimension. And then also ensuring that the funding invests in ALICE workers in all your projects, including in your office. I'm just going to mention a few tools and resources, but there's lots more on our website, unitedforalice.org. But one tool especially I think is great for planners, and it's our economic viability dashboard. So I'm going to start with introducing it by asking if any of you live in a perfect town. This is Richard Scarry's Busy Town. You may remember growing up, but do you live in a town where most jobs pay a sustainable wage, where housing is affordable for most families, and there are wonderful community resources available to everyone? Anybody live in that town? Well, according to the EVD, the Economic Viability Dashboard, there are 2 places in New Jersey that almost get there. And so the EVD looks at work, housing, and community, and provides a lot of ways that you can look at indicators in these areas. But there are 2 communities in New Jersey that score above average on all 3 of those. And they are Union County, the part Northwest, Summit, and Westfield, and then Southern Somerset County. So actually, some states don't have any towns that are communities that fit in this, and usually it's just one. So there's something that's happening here, but a lot more work to be done. There's a lot more local data on our website, and I think for a lot of your planning to dig down and get zip code, county subdivision, all that. There's a spreadsheet with a data sheet that you can download, so that might be helpful. A lot of interactive data tools. And one, for example, is our budget calculator. You can put in your state, your county, your household composition, see what that budget is, and see if that household then earns above or below that ALICE threshold. So with that, I'm going to pause and see if y'all have any questions, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Stephanie. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions from the board? Yes, sir.
To your left. Chairman?
I should know it was you. You always have a question.
I always have a question, thank you. I know you've been in this space for a long time. Are we getting more Alice's out there, or what's the trend look like right now?
Yeah, that's
the past decade or 20 years?
That's a great question. So we've been tracking from before the Great Recession, and we saw a big uptick during the Great Recession, kind of 2007 to 2010. Since then, interestingly, the poverty rate has been pretty flat, and the number of ALICE households has continued to tick up. And so that's happening through different administrations, different economic conditions, that tells us that something really different is going to have to happen to change that trajectory. And that's a really good question from my old neighbor.
And as a follow-up, on the average, what percentage of the Alice income goes to housing?
So it's usually the largest criteria, the largest budget item, unless you've got 2 or more kids in childcare, and that would then become your largest item. And it's also probably the hardest to tackle. So from your perspective,
right,
you got some work to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience have a question or a comment? Okay. Thank you again, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
We'll move on to committee reports and action items. First, I'd like to ask Commissioner Kenny to give the Project Prioritization Committee report. Commissioner?
Thank you, Chairman. I am pleased to report on the activities of the Project Prioritization Committee. While the committee usually meets virtually, the November joint committee meeting was held here in person. I think that's supposed to be the October joint committee meeting was held here in person. Thanks to everyone who made the trip here and participated. The committee considered 2 action items which required board approval today. One item that needs no further action. First item is approval of the Regional Transportation Alternatives Program, awarding $1.5 million of Warren County's Morris Canal Greenway Trail, Incline Plane 9 west to Strikers Road project. The project was selected through a cooperative process between the NJDOT, NJTPA, and the state's 2 MPOs. Second item for approval is a 2-part request that includes minor amendments to the FY 2024-2027 TIP. The first part will add $43.8 million to the Mobility and Systems Engineering Program for engineering and construction in the federal fiscal year 2025. This increase will fund the Intelligent Transportation System projects, including improvements around the Meadowlands Sports Complex to support the 2026 FIFA World Cup events. The second part is to add $24.7 million to Route 287, Route 202 to Ramapo River project for construction, increasing the total to $103.5 million, and to reprogram these funds for federal fiscal year 2026 and 2027. The reprogramming is necessary to accommodate additional environmental surveys and prepare the financial plan required now that the project cost exceeds $100 million. The committee also approved the modification to the FY 24-27 TIP. They add $14.2 million to the Federal Transit Administration funding to the ferry programs for engineering, right-of-way, and construction in FY 25. This cost increase is necessary to fund the conversion of up to 6 New York waterway ferry vessels from diesel-powered to battery-electric propulsion systems, along with the necessary charging equipment and landside improvement. No further action is required, and this concludes the Project Prioritization Committee report.
Thank you, Chairman. So as the chairman indicated, we do have 2 action items from the Project Prioritization Committee on today's agenda. Now, one of the recommendations by Commissioner Kenny is that we go back to something that we used to do all the time, and that's have counties pre-selected to make the motion and the second, and that is on this. So the first action item is the approval of the Regional Transportation Alternatives Program project. And I understand Warren County would like to move this item.
Warren County happily moves the item.
And Morris County, will you second?
Morris County will second the item.
Any comments from board members? Any comments from members of the public? Seeing none, Denise, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex County,
Yes.
Monmouth County,
Yes.
Morris County,
Yes.
Newark,
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
Governor's Authorities Unit,
Yes.
New Jersey Department of Transportation,
Yes.
New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority. And the project is approved.
Thank you. The second item is the approval of a minor amendment to the fiscal year 2024 through 27 Transportation Improvement Program to increase and align federal funds for a program and a project as requested by NJ Transit, and I understand that NJ Transit would like to move the item.
Yeah, just to clarify, that's requested by DOT, but we'd be happy to move it.
And you made the motion? Okay. Do we have Union County? Do you want a second?
Yes, Union seconds.
Okay. Any comments or questions from members of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Hi, Newark, just a quick comment. I would like to get information on the mobility and system engineering program, just to check on the synergy of the areas in the city of Newark that will be affected by the FIFA influx of people in the transportation sense. Just information and collaboration. Thank you.
And you'll get that information to her? Okay.
Talk to them, yeah.
That will be given to you. I
Get
just
more
told
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Denise, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex County,
Yes.
Monmouth County,
Yes.
Morris County,
Yes.
Newark,
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
Governor's Authorities Unit,
Yes.
New Department of Transportation,
Yes.
yes, New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority.
Yes.
The amendments passed.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Planning and Economic Development Committee, we'll hear from Commissioner Jason Sarnowski, who will give the Planning and Economic Development Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am pleased to report on the activities of the Planning and Economic Development Committee at the October. They did get the right month. They know I'm not smart enough to do that math. At the October joint meeting, the committee heard a presentation from Jersey City on the recently completed traffic calming toolkit study, which was funded through the NJTPA Sub-Regional Studies Program. The study explored how and where traffic calming measures can be implemented to help meet the city's Vision Zero goal of eliminating traffic deaths by 2026. It included public input through meetings and surveys, 2 demonstration projects, and stakeholder interviews. The toolkit and other projects which are available on the NJTPA website are likely to be helpful and to counties and municipalities seeking to achieve similar safety improvements. The committee also considered one action item which requires board approval today, an amendment to the NJTPA Long Range Transportation Plan to include the Resiliency Improvement Plan. This plan was developed in partnership with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to provide a risk-based assessment of vulnerable transportation assets in relation to immediate and long-term transportation planning. This action will benefit applicants to the federal project grant program, making their proposals for resilience improvement funding more competitive and lowering the required funding match. The Resilience Improvement Plan is included in the agenda package for this meeting. This concludes the Planning and Economic Development Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. One last item is, no, I think we did that, right? Did I do this one, or do we have to? This one, right? Okay, the last item is the approval of the amendment to the NJTPA Long Range Transportation Plan to include the Resilience Improvement Plan. And I understand the Port Authority would like to move this item.
Yes, we were grateful to work with NJTPA staff who really expedited this effort, so the Port Authority is glad to move this item.
Thank you. And Jersey City, would you like?
Second, Jersey City, yes.
All right, any comments from the board members before we vote?
Just real quick from Warren, although I, support the Resiliency Improvement Plan, we still have work that we're working through for the New Jersey, the Route 80 Rockfall project in Warren County, which is on the Long Range Transportation Plan. So I'm going to abstain, but, to support the Resiliency Improvement Plan.
Okay, very good. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Or questions? Okay. Denise, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex County,
Yes.
Monmouth County,
Yes.
Morris County,
Yes.
Newark,
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
I understand Warren County is abstaining.
Abstain.
Governor's Authorities Unit.
Yes.
New Jersey Department of Transportation.
Yes.
New Jersey Transit.
Yes.
Port Authority, New York, New Jersey.
Yes.
And the amendment passes.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Commissioner Steve Shaw, who will give the Freight Initiatives Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to report on the October 21st Freight Initiatives Committee meeting. Central staff informed the committees that work is progressing on the 2050 freight industry level forecast update that will be used in development of the NJTPA's next long-range transportation plan. Additionally, 2 freight concept development program studies are about to get underway: the Southern Middlesex County North-South Truck Corridor Project and the East Hanover Avenue Bridge Catenary Rail Clearance Project in Morris County. The NJTPA will also prepare a preliminary screening for Plate F vertical rail clearance, the industry standard height, on the New Jersey Transit North Jersey coastline in Perth Amboy. The meeting featured a panel of 3 speakers on the next stages of commercial truck electrification. Nicholas Responti of Zeem Solutions highlighted the company's efforts to build and operate truck charging depots in or near major transportation centers. His company is planning to open a charging depot near Port Newark by late next year. He said Port Newark is a good candidate as 80% of the cargo stays within the 300-mile range of electric-powered trucks. Next, Pip Decker of Current Trucking explained that zero-emission freight is the future. His company leases electric trucks to operators and installs charging infrastructure. One effort is installing charging infrastructure at the International Motor Freight Facility in Newark, a project partially funded through NJTPA's Transportation Clean Air Measures Program. Finally, Peg Hanna from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection shared updates on the Multi-State Clean Corridor Coalition, which aims to create an interstate electric charging network along I-95. She announced that the coalition received $250 million in federal funding for 24 charging sites in the Northeast, including 9 in New Jersey. They will be privately owned and operated. Also at the meeting, I reported on the completion of Morris County's Dover and Rockaway Railroad runaway track funded through New Jersey's Rail Freight Assistance Program. I also reported that a contract was executed for design of the Chester Branch Rail Bridge over Berkshire Valley Road in Roxbury, which has a very long history of truck collisions due to insufficient clearance. This project has graduated from NJTPA's Freight Concept Development Program just last year. The members had updates. NJTOT said that the first phase of a truck parking study is assessing the scope of the problem, with data showing that drivers spend over 2 hours seeking parking. The Port Authority reported that operations are returning to normal after the recent port strike. And Somerset County also noted that the county's NJTPA-funded circulation element was adopted into the master plan, reflecting strong public support. The plan includes a range of good movement recommendations. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. There are no action items from that, so we'll move on to public participation. As a reminder, we advise members of the public that we have a 3-minute time limit on comments. The light on the timer will go from green to yellow when there are 30 seconds remaining, and then red when the 3 minutes is reached. We ask that you keep your comments within this allotted time. We will start with members of the public who have signed up to speak. Then we'll call on those joining us remotely who have signed up in advance to provide comments. Ted, would you please call on the first person who signed up to speak today?
Chairman Kelly, we had nobody sign up to speak in advance today.
In either here or on phone?
I don't know if anybody, ad hoc wants to speak, but we had nobody sign up on the
Okay.
sign-in sheet.
So anyone have any questions or comments? You're wasting your 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to time and place of next meeting. The next meeting of the board will be held here at NJTPA's office next year, on January 13th at 10:30 a.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Warren moves to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Morris, seconds.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed can stay here. Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Very good.
That was a quick one. Nice job, Jim.
Yeah, that was a good point about the, PTSD.